Hello everyone and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Little Jolly Gamer Show podcast. This is episode 109. I am Brandon.
I'm Jacob.
And I am Steve.
And for today's episode, we're going to do a Spoilercast.
Yay!
So spoiler alert, if you've not played Resident Evil 8 Village yet, pause this, go play the game. We're about to spoil just about everything there is about it.
Yep.
And we're going to kind of do a little mini review about it. We're going to give you our feelings on it, and that'll be it.
I'm going to put it to you this way. If you haven't finished it yet, Jacob finished it before you.
Oh, man, Seth and Steve get you hard on that.
They're just like throwing
Jacob,
shade.
I don't do it.
It's fine.
It's
fine. Sorry, I'll talk about you behind your back. It's cool.
Anyway,
I'm just joking.
No, it's fine. I'm just
yanking your chain.
Some precursor into Resident Evil 8. Firstly, Jacob, I want to ask you, because I know how me and Steve are with Resident Evil. We're kind of some Resident Evil nerds. We've played just about all of them.
Yep.
How many of you played? Like, what's your history with Resident Evil?
Everything but 6. I played chunks of 6.
Hey, that's okay. That's
if
quite all right.
Honestly, I think you played more than me because I have yet to touch 6. I bought 6, and I texted Brandon.
We both bought 6.
Yeah.
We were like, we started playing it. We're like, do we really want to play this?
I hadn't even touched it, dog. I hadn't even touched it yet. Like this is what happened. So Brandon was like, "Hey, Resident Evil 6 is on sale. Do you want to get it? We can play through it together."
It was like $7.
And I was just like, "Yeah, sure." And like, I bought it. He bought it. Never touched it.
I played it a little bit.
The only thing I played was Mercenaries.
I wanted to stream it. That's what I wanted to do.
In 6? Mm-hmm. Wait, you played 6 Mercenaries?
Yeah, me and you.
We did. Okay, we did do that before.
We have in the past, but not. That's what
introduced me
to Mercenaries. This was back on 360.
I know you played 5 Mercenaries.
Was it 5?
You played 5
Who had Heavy Metal Chris?
That's 5.
That's 5.
Okay, so then I have not played 6.
No, you have not played 6.
I've seen you play some of 6.
It's not good.
It's not.
It's really not.
Giraffe.
It's really disappointing. Like, I'll be honest,
It's bad.
I haven't played it, but I liked what I saw in Leon's campaign.
Yeah.
But I think from the rest of it,
Leon's is the zombies.
The reason I bought it is because I wanted to give it a second chance. But the reason I asked your
history...
played
Outbreak.
Outbreak. Outbreak was
I played Outbreak 1 and 2.
That game had a lot of like extra steps to be able to play it properly.
Yes, correct.
It needs to be remade.
It does. It really does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway,
sorry. What were you
so I was gonna say Resident Evil 8. It kind of had a big lead up for me because not only do I love the Resident Evil franchise, but this was my first truly next gen experience.
Yes, same.
Whether it was on PC or on PS5 or console, this was it.
Yeah.
With the new TV, the 4K HDR TV that I won. I know I didn't win. I earned it. I earned.
We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I earned. And
it's sexy.
It looks really, really good.
It does. It do.
So I think let's break this up in a
People
couple
don't think
different.
it be how it is, but it do.
But it do. So let's break this up into a couple parts. So I think the first thing we want to do is kind of break down the story.
We're gonna narrative first.
And then we're gonna talk about some things we liked, some things we didn't like.
Sure.
We're gonna talk about the gameplay mechanics, and we're kind of break it down how we usually do the review.
Performance.
Maybe give it like a final
audio
score.
visual.
So Jacob, do you have an outline of the story? Or?
I don't have an outline of the story, no, because I went just like that. Performance gameplay, and
when we played the demo, it kind of like
dumps you as shit.
It kind of the demo is basically the first couple minutes of the game, minus the intro, right?
Right.
So we resume the game as Ethan Winters. This is a direct sequel from Resident Evil 7.
Yep.
Which, if you haven't finished 7, we'll kind of fill you in on that.
I tried.
Now, there's some missing information here. Before we even start playing the game, something that you need to know is that in the deluxe edition of Resident Evil 8, there is included, it's called the Dolby Incident Report, which is basically a catch-you-up information dump on Resident Evil 7 before you go to Resident Evil 8. But there's a little bit of information in there that connects the two that they don't tell you when you start Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, you don't know, because this is going to spoil the ending, of course.
I've read the synopsis.
That you don't know that Chris kind of goes rogue from the BSAA and formed his own team.
Didn't know this.
They don't tell you that. And You can beat the whole game and not realize that. Because whenever I played the last part, I was like, what do they mean? I thought Chris was with the BSAA. And then he's talking about the BSAA sending the people, and you're like, wait, what's going on?
And then in Resident Evil 7, you see that he's working for Blue Umbrella, and you're like, that's not like Chris.
Okay, thank you. Because I was curious. Because that health med pack goes, and it's like, Umbrella, wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute.
Like, why would Chris be working for the enemy?
Yeah, now he does have the Blue Umbrella is on the auto injector thing.
Yes. Okay.
But he's not working for the Blue Umbrella. He has basically gone rogue with his team from BSAA.
He took their stuff.
Pretty much. But they don't say that.
Right.
So you don't realize when Chris busts in the first scene there and he murders Mia in front of you and takes the baby, you don't realize that he's not working on part of the BSA, and you don't realize that Chris worked out a deal with the Winterses. How would you say it? The Winters. The Winterses. The Winters family. You don't realize that the Winters family were they took a deal from Chris and not the BSAA. It's not like a witness protection thing, but you would think that without this information.
Sure, it makes sense.
So that's the introduction to my first biggest complaint about the entire game, narrative-wise, is that information should have been at least in a file somewhere you could have read.
Yes. Yeah.
Unless I missed one.
That was going to be one of my gripes. Was like, if you don't read every document and you're not paying attention, this is one of those games you go, oh wait.
But that's everything with Resident Evil though. That's consistent with the Resident Evil series. Yeah. Not that like it should have been found in game. I don't think it should have been something that somebody would pay extra for. God.
Yeah, I think
that's a little. That's a little.
And I went back and I looked it up on the internet. And I read about it, and it even tells you a little bit about the characters, and you kind of get a canonical lead-in to 8. So you realize that Zoe Baker, she makes it out.
If you play the DLC.
And she is now a reporter of sorts, and she's
it's her report.
It's her report of the events, and then that's really the most important things you need to know is all the Chris and the BSAA stuff and all that. They don't say anything about Joe Baker though.
No, they don't.
The best Resident Evil character that exists.
The greatest Resident Evil.
Did y'all get to play that?
No,
I did.
I did not.
I did. The Joe Baker DLC. I played it.
Yeah. Joe
that
Baker
is fun.
Yeah, the best. He's the best Resident Evil character ever.
Like real quick sidebar. He doesn't use weapons. He uses his freaking fish.
He uses his Cajun
Uncle Joe
etouffee makers.
He got Boudreaux and Thibodeau.
That's right.
I'm gonna punch up these molded.
And he gets a power glove, and he can punch Boulder punching Chris. Watch out, Joe Baker. Who's the better puncher? Vote now.
I'd have to say Joe Baker.
I'd say so. But anyway, that's the first lead in there.
Okay.
So Chris breaks in, steals your baby, shoots your wife. He knocks you out. They put you in a truck. Truck crashes. You get out. You don't know what's going on. Your kid's missing. Your wife's body's missing. Chris is missing.
Everything's missing.
And everything's missing. You kind of find the shed and you see some weird creatures running around. Then you find your way into the village, the titular village.
Can we just talk about that first series for a second? If we're just gonna go chronologically.
Yeah.
All right. So because we're not gonna go through the back. All right. Yeah. I also want to talk about that performance-wise. This is the first time on the 5 seeing because 5 this game has ray tracing.
Yeah.
On the 5, so like that's the first time walking through there. Like hearing the lichens dance around you and that volumetric lighting that's in. Oh my gosh.
I want to.
That was my first experience.
That's something that I missed out of because I played it on PC.
Yeah.
But still, like that whole scene walking from the wreckage and how dark it is, how incredibly dark and foreboding it is. Like it really
dude, this game
captured what it's like in real life.
It's
like I think that
filled
really well.
to the brim with set pieces.
Yes.
When you leave that little shed and then you get into the village and you can see the castle.
Yeah, it spans out.
The snow's kind of falling. Like the water's running there. Mm-hmm. You push L1 to put Ethan's hands up and they look more realistic than your hands for some reason. We've gotten there in games where it looks better than real life. Yeah. I don't know how they do that, but they do.
They do.
And then you get into the village and you're kind of looking around. You're trying to figure out what's going on. Apparently people are living there, but you can't.
Nobody's to be seen.
Yeah, no one's there. Someone left their hot pot of nasty juice there. I don't know what that guy. I don't know what that guy was cooking, but it did not look good. And then you kind of start to see those werewolves. They kind of pop up, and they're kind of popping up. You see them on like the buildings and stuff, and one bites your fingers off.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about that.
Well,
in a
poor
minute.
Ethan Winters in his hands.
Yeah. And then
his hands take some abuse.
You get kind of introduced into this like survival.
Some O'Keeffe's.
He needs some corn huskers.
Sorry, I had to.
He needs some corn huskers
Need
lotion.
some cocoa butter on them hands, boy.
Why was he not wearing gloves? He should have worn gloves. It's cold out.
Yes, it is.
Bro, his hands take some abuse.
Well, he complains about it at the end. It's cool.
It's funny because, like...
Yeah, you ain't got gloves on, man.
That was kind of one of my big complaints of Resident Evil 7.
I mean, all the things that happen to your hands, you worried about the cold?
In Resident Evil 7, it was kind of hard to connect with the character of Ethan.
Yeah.
Because you don't see his face.
Yeah.
You don't see anything except his hands and his legs getting cut off
And it's
all
so
the time.
funny because they keep up with that in Resident Evil 8. If you go back and you like look through the house,
Oh, hello.
the table collapsed. Okay. Anyway, if you go back into the house, like if you could do another, I didn't think to do this on my first playthrough. Maybe some of you did on your first playthrough. But if you go look through the house, you can see that there's like a photo book of like Mia and the baby.
Yeah.
Ethan's not in
Yeah, he's not in it.
Like, do y'all just not care about me or something?
If you purchase his model in the model viewer after the game is complete, it's a full render and his face is black.
Yep.
Like,
You're a
Capcom's
faceless
just like,
protagonist.
It's weird because the face is rendered in game, and if you use hacking tools, you can see him.
Yeah.
You can see his face.
You couldn't do that in 7 though.
You can do it in 7, and you can do it in 8.
He had a face in 7?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought he didn't have a face in 7. Well, it's just so funny to me.
It's just so weird because it doesn't help with you connecting to that character.
Yes.
Now, I do think that he was characterized better in 8 than he was in 7.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
But not by much.
For my limited playtime with 7.
But anyway, so the werewolves are attacking.
Yep.
And you basically have to survive. Now, this is one part, I don't like it when games, like, it says survive the attack.
Yeah.
And you don't really, like, at that point, you're thinking you gotta go somewhere and maybe activate, push the right shelf and the right door to activate the next scene. But no, you literally have to stay alive the whole time. And that part, I didn't quite realize, it doesn't give you enough time to understand the rules and the controls of the game.
Exactly.
No,
it just kind of
throws you into it,
And that part kind of turned me off a little bit in the beginning, and that's really the only gameplay complaint I have.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was like...
I kind of liked it because I kind of felt like it was a good way to introduce you to make you like learn it very quickly and like kind of... I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to make you feel the kind of panic that Ethan's feeling because Ethan doesn't know how to fight these things.
I have a counterpoint.
You have to realize you.
I have a counterpoint. So this game has clearly some huge inspiration and some DNA taken from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
Absolutely.
Now in Resident Evil 4, you get that small little stretch in between the Sir guy and the actual village. That almost identical, right? Yeah. You had to survive until a certain either you kill a certain amount or you. There's a certain amount of time you have to reach. Yeah. Now, on my second playthrough, I was murdering these things. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
And it's a timer. It's not a certain amount of kills. Yeah. It's a straight timer. But Resident Evil 4 does a better job of kind of giving you that little stretch there to kind of like figure out how the shooting works and not just throwing everything at you at once.
But here's my counterpoint to that, though. In Resident Evil 4, Leon's a professional. He's an agent. He's been working in that line of field of whatever, like for God knows how long. You know, he's a federal agent. Whereas Ethan is kind of in a witness protection program type deal. He's had to fight in Louisiana. He's got a little training, but I don't think it's
narratively. We are 100% on the same page. Yeah. But gameplay-wise, for player agency's sake, I feel like they didn't give you enough time. But I mean, it's not. I didn't die in that part. Yeah. I came close, but
I knew that red gate from the demo. I was like, okay, this is where I got to be. So I just put my back right here. Like, I'm just gonna wait until the old lady opens the gate.
Right.
Come to find out, there's a challenge that if you kill the Urias,
there's a big old guy.
Big old guy with a hammer, Urias.
He looks like Animal from the Muppets.
It's so funny because everybody else likens werewolves and stuff like that, but he's got like lion in him or something.
He's like the
his
werewolf.
Roars are lion.
He's like the werewolf leader.
Yeah. He's the alpha.
Now these lycans, they're not technically werewolves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna get into that in a minute.
Well, I'm only speaking from like a gameplay point of view where it's like their noises mimic wolves because they're supposed to be like werewolves.
That was
but
their
for some
theme,
reason, Urias they used a lion's roar because you could very clearly hear the lion's roar because lions have a very guttural sound for some reason, and the bushy hair. It's almost as if they wanted him to not only stand out as the leader, as like the alpha, but also to stand out as a different creature.
I think that's a creature design.
Yeah. Just to make it more intimidating.
To give him that furled up hair around just shows that he's like the alpha, I guess. So he's like, hey, in case you didn't know, you need to run from that guy.
Yeah. Prior to, I actually thought it was Heisenberg.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
me too. I thought that was Heisenberg's transformation.
Yeah, I thought the same thing because he got the hammer. Yeah, I thought the same exact thing. But anyway, so you survive the attack. You go into the village, and that old hag is like, death will visit us all. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, this lady's creepy. Yeah. And then
she's a bad guy.
You find out that you need to, like, you see some notes earlier that tells you need to go to Louisa's house. Yeah. And that's where that demo starts.
That's where the demo starts. The demo starts from the
I'm not sure if we talked about the demo or not, but basically you go to Louisa's house, you cut through that little scary crop field because you have nothing but a pistol.
You see the crops go...
All you have is a pistol. So I forgot to mention the guy you see earlier gives you a pistol and he gets murked.
Yeah.
Clearly, everyone in this village is getting murked by these werewolves or lycans. That seems to be something that's currently happening now and hasn't happened before.
Yeah. Right. This is a brand new thing.
So you go into Luis's house, and then in Luis's house, all the people who are left are huddled around there, and you meet. Before you get in there, you meet this
Leonardo.
You meet Leonardo and what's her name?
I think it's Leah.
Elena?
Maybe
Ellen or something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, you meet those two, and now we'll tell you why it's not important to remember their names in a second. But you help them get inside, and then they're saying this scary prayer, and then Leonardo turns into a lycan, and then everyone gets murked, and the house sets on fire, and then you find these keys to a truck, and you get out, and Elena's trying to get out with you, and then she's like, oh no, don't shoot my dad, and then she shoots her dad, and then she falls in the fire with him, she dies, everyone in there's dead. You get out, you get those 2 medallion pieces,
you get the shotgun.
You finally get a glimpse of
somewhere in all that. You get the shotgun.
Mother Miranda makes her first appearance.
I think you get the shotgun before.
Yeah, you get the shotgun.
You can't into the sheds.
Yeah.
But then
I did at least.
You run your way into the cavern by using those 2 medallions, and you flip a switch because you don't know this, but you're heading to the castle because Ethan, he's like, well, my baby's got to be in that castle. Yeah. Where else would she be? And so you flip a switch, and Heisenberg shows up, and he's like, oh, you're not one of the locals, and he just uses his magneto powers, which we'll talk about those
later.
Yeah. He uses his magneto powers to pile up junk on you, and then he drags you to a meeting, and this is where you're introduced to the 4 house lords and Mother Miranda.
Yeah.
You see her in the field.
Yeah, you do see her in the field,
but you don't know what she is.
She murks that guy.
Yeah, and then she runs off.
Lillian or whatever.
She didn't even destroy his freaking body.
He wasn't there.
I went back for his gun.
I did too. I
went to go look for him, and there was nothing left.
It's gone. It's gone. Like, bored. So this is a really important part is learning. The
lords,
the house lords. You have Lady Dimitrescu.
Mm-hmm. Which is everybody's favorite big, tall vampire lady.
Big Mama. You got Donna Beneviento. And then you have she's the doll maker. Yeah. Clearly inspired by Mary Shaw from Dead Silence.
Oh yeah.
You got Carl Heisenberg, the guy who just captured you, who has magneto powers. Then you got Moreau, who is this hideous fish-looking guy with barnacles on his back.
In Notre Dame.
And then also
fish.
Donna Beneviento has that little doll with her.
Angie.
Yeah.
And then
I really like her.
They're all kind of like, hey, who's gonna get Ethan Winters? Who's gonna be able to either kill him or
everybody's arguing.
Like who wants this fresh meat? And I guess it's a Mario Party minigame because Mother Miranda's like, Heisenberg. And he's like, okay, all my werewolf homies, chase them. And then you run, and then there's this really weird part with this giant machine, and you kind of back up to it, and you break your wrist restraints, and then you kind of run your way into the castle.
Yeah.
You run your way into Castle Dimitrescu. And this is kind of where the second demo that we played comes into play.
Castle demo, yeah.
This is where you kind of get put into the first major section of the game. I'm going to kind of separate it into chapters, right?
Yeah.
So let's say like chapter 1 would be Castle Dimitrescu.
Okay.
I say chapter 1 would be, that would be your intro, and then Castle Dimitrescu would be like chapter 1.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where you kind of, it's really interesting because each of these different like chapters essentially have different gameplay styles and themes.
Right.
With this one, which by the way, I would love to live in that castle.
Oh my gosh.
A nice castle.
Other than the traps and the monsters.
The dungeon.
And, not nearly as treacherous as Salazar's castle.
No, not nearly.
No. I would actually. Remember that picture I sent you? It said Salazar.
Salazar.
The cooler Salazar, and it had Lady D in it. And you quickly learn that Lady D and her daughters are constantly roaming this castle because they snatch you up, they hang you up by your hands, by hooks.
They become the new Mr. X.
And then Lady D is like, okay, well, you hang here for a while, and she like cuts your blood open, which this is totally foreshadowing to the end of the game. She sucks the blood out. She's like, this one's going bad, and so she walks out, and they're trying to decide what to do with Ethan, essentially. Because she's like, well, Mother Miranda said we can't kill him yet, so...
He fell into our hands, what are we going to do with him?
Yeah, not sure what she has in plan. plan for them. And then you start finding your way to the castle. And there's a lot of puzzles. We're not going to go through every single puzzle, but we're just going to narratively take you through it.
But I really wanted to talk about all the puzzles.
I
really wanted to talk about the wine puzzle.
Well, at any point, if you want to talk about a specific gameplay element, please do.
I was going to say, I almost wish I didn't play the castle demo because I knew what the dungeon was going to be like. Because the first time you get dropped in that dungeon, if I'd never experienced that would have been probably the first time I'd probably really...
The dungeon was kind of the same. Now, some of the doors were moved around from the
a little bit. It's been changed up. But that's the first time I really felt like, oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, what's around this corner? But then eventually you figure out combat, of course.
And as you get to the castle, you go everywhere, man. You go to all these different rooms. You get to explore
down,
all of it. You get to go... literally, there's bats in the belfry in this place.
Yeah.
And as you're getting through it, you're running into the daughters, and you find out that they're weak against cold. And the reason you find out they're weak against cold is, narratively, we'll talk about, that they were experimented on with this by Mother Miranda. She's not talking about why or how she's doing it, but they're connected to these flies, and the flies are weak against cold. Remember back at the grocery store? I would open up those dairy curtains, and sometimes flies would get stuck in them, and they would try to move, but they couldn't. You could just pick them up. And so it's funny because their weakness is true.
Real life,
and so you find out every time you get into a fight with one of the daughters, you need to shoot a window or open up a window or open up a hatch or whatever to activate the cold and then shoot them, which I thought was a cool mechanic.
That's a really cool mechanic.
Because those fights are pretty quick. They don't take very long.
The roof fight was fun because you literally had to lure her. You're like, all right, come after me. Cut!
Hey.
And
a little closer. Pull
at
up.
this point in the game, you only have your little handgun and the shotgun, and you probably don't have that many upgrades on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the Duke is in the castle. At any point, you can go back to the front of the castle, and he's there. And if you didn't use the Duke's room as a safe haven from Lady D at any point,
I did,
because I totally did.
Oh, she was walking
around outside of it.
I think he laughs at you. He's like, "Come on in." The Duke, by the way.
Well, it's just like
we forgot to mention before you get into the castle, the Duke introduces himself. He's like, "Hey, I'm the Duke.
Real G.
I'll sell you some stuff.
He's an enigma,
your daughter may or may not be in that castle." And then you walk in, and then later you find him, and he's got his little space in there. He's like, this is my room.
He likes a cigar. Yeah, come on, that's fine.
I love the Duke. He's awesome.
Oh yeah,
Duke
he really
awesome.
is. I really love the callbacks to 4 in this game.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you hear when he said?
I did. What are you buying? just something an old friend of mine used to say. It's like
they're both in
the
Europe.
Freaking that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like.
They're both in Europe.
Right.
I love how he would comment, like sometimes when you would beat a boss and you'd sell the remains back.
That was really cool. He's like,
this is his hammer.
Lady Dimitrescu.
He's as lovely in death as she was in life.
Yeah.
He says, oof, that waistline.
Did he really say that? I must have missed it.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth, Dookie?
But we all know that Lady D was afraid to go in the Duke's room because he has superior thickness.
I mean, she's thick, but he's fit.
He's not dummy thick. He's like, ultra.
Oh Lord, he coming thick.
You know what the mystery of this game is? The whole mystery of this whole Resident Evil 8? What's in that belly button?
What's in that belly? I think he got so fat his belly button ripped open, and so he just got flesh hanging out.
Maybe.
Like his belly button is just exploded.
He got the tortoise hands too.
He got the feet. Yeah. Like he probably got diabetes.
A little bit.
Got diabetes. Anyways, so as you're making your way through the castle, it's classic Resident Evil stuff, right?
Absolutely.
You get this key that unlocks this door. Yep. You remember the symbols on the doors. All the while, Lady D will pop up and she'll chase you, which is terrifying.
Especially as you start to slowly murk her daughter, she gets even more aggravated,
more aggressive,
and she
makes a comment every time.
She got the Full Metal Alchemist hands, and she is. No matter what you shoot her with, it does nothing.
No, absolutely.
I went back and shot her with that fully upgraded revolver. Does nothing.
Yep. She's like Mr. X.
She puts Wolverine to shame.
Except Mr. X. Mr. X will eventually stop if you shoot him enough in Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah.
She don't stop.
No.
Does she?
No, you can't stun her. And the only thing you can do to slow her down is go through a door.
Yep.
Now in the replay, if you have the speed upgrade, it helps out a bunch.
Yeah. I had that in the game.
But yeah, classic puzzle solving. Go here, go there. Extra treasures, just like Resident Evil 4. You get treasures that you can miss.
The puzzles were really fun in this game.
The puzzles are.
I didn't think they were a chore at all. They were really fun.
No, they were fun.
Yeah, every puzzle was fun.
I really liked the little balls.
Labyrinth.
I only got to do that once.
Really?
I did all of them.
I found one ball. I couldn't find the other three.
I did all of them.
But like I was telling Brandon, every Resident Evil with my first playthrough is always going to be story. I want to experience the story.
It's shock and awe, and your first time through and just enjoying it.
Yeah.
Not trying to like follow a guide or anything. You want to play it, and then the second time through, maybe use a guide.
I'm going to get a guide to get all the treasure. That's going to be my completionist run. Well, my first run on Resident Evil is to experience the story because I want to experience the story in Resident Evil and to the fullest, highest regard. And I don't want to put it off, but I also don't want to fly through it either. So I put myself in a good, healthy pace.
Yeah. No, that's definitely smart. I don't want to toot my horn, but I got all the treasures and I got all the labyrinths in the first run.
Very nice. Very nice.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
I did.
I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Because
man, that takes a thorough look.
It's a lot of going back and forth.
And it's scary.
Yes. And but the cool thing about this game, and I'll say that to this little side point, is that I like what they do with this in that they don't punish you for going back too much. Like every now and then they'll have some enemies pop back up when you revisit a place.
Yeah.
But it's not like every time you revisit, here's some more stuff.
The only time they punish you is in the castle.
Yeah.
Whenever Lady D's rolling around. That's the only time I would ever feel punished.
Yeah. I think at the very end...
Punish me.
Step on me.
The factory was the place where I started to kind of rush a little bit. There were some red rooms I left. I was like, I just gotta get through this.
Yeah, I got you.
That place is a labyrinth.
So after
I didn't care for the fact.
After you kill all the daughters and you find all the face plates.
The angels.
You can get out of the castle when you do. So you find, if you were thorough, you'd find files and you learn a little bit about why Lady D is the way she is, right? Mm-hmm. And you find out that whatever it is that was done to her, she had a blood disease when she was a regular human, and somehow, whenever she got infected with whatever it is we're gonna talk about later.
Stupid fast regeneration.
She got stupid fast regeneration, and she got vampiric-like abilities.
Because that was the trade-off.
The trade-off was she had to drink blood to keep her body the way it was.
Which is why they made her so big, because she was constantly regenerating herself.
Yep, exactly.
I like that. I like they explained that, because I was curious why the heck is she so tall.
Super cool. They have totally reasonable
everything.
explanations for all these, except for Iceberg. We'll talk about it later. Yeah. But anyway, you find out that there's a dagger hidden somewhere in the castle that is supposed to be a special weapon. But you find out the reason it's special is because it's coated with all these poisons from all kinds of different areas around the continents that affects blood. And so when you pick it up, Lady D's like, "Oh, you killed all my daughters," and you stab her, and then she's like, she can't control herself anymore because her form has been compromised, and then she turns into a giant
dragon,
bat tentacle creature monster.
There it is.
Yep, there it is. And so great boss battle.
Yes, it is.
Really, really fun.
She's flying. She's in your face. She's flying around. You gotta use the sniper rifle to shoot her in the face when she's long distance. You gotta use a shotgun to shoot her while she's close. You gotta put up those hands to block. Mm-hmm. You gotta make sure you have enough healing stuff and juice. And we forgot to mention there's a crafting system.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because all the different crafting items, you might have enough to either make some shotgun shells or you might want to make a healing item. You gotta know which one you want to do.
Yep.
And I think that's a really cool way to kind of expand the gameplay and let you play your way. Like, do you want to play it safe and just have the health, or do you want to say, screw it, I'm going to go in with, I need some more sniper rifle bullets.
I did that in the factory. I was like, all right, I'm prioritizing mines and pipe bombs and shotgun shells.
That was smart. And so after you defeat Lady D and you fall all the way down that huge tower, you come out and then you're kind of forced back into the village. Let's think of the village as like our hub. The hub world.
Sure.
Every time you come out of one of these areas that I'm going to call a chapter, you're always kind of forced back into the village. And as you get there, you have some of these items such as the iron key that you can open up doors that you couldn't before. Every time you come out of one of these chapter areas,
that kind of that Metroidvania.
You have the next item to move into, like the well wheel, or sometimes the animals start popping up so you can shoot them.
Yeah.
Or you get different animals that pop up. And there's a cooking aspect. If you collect the meat and you turn it into the Duke, you can upgrade your character. I thought that was really great.
Well, I bet the Duke is a really good cook.
He probably is.
Yeah. We know he likes to eat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, you can turn in like. And you're not going to get all of them in the first playthrough. No. But there's rare animals you can go seek out because you can find the pictures of like the white pig, the blue bird, the goldfish, and all that. Then there's like goats that show up. So you have all these different opportunities to upgrade your character.
Black Phillip shows
up. That scared me the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Like to live deliciously.
Dost thou like to live deliciously?
Well, he the pig scared me because he charged you.
The one I thought.
Well, I think they do that on purpose so that it gets you to kill him.
Yeah. Oh,
that way you can figure out.
Yeah. I need to shoot this thing. Because but Black Phillip doesn't do anything. But like that big
old
black.
He charged me.
Yeah. Oh, did he? Because mine was walking away from me when I pulled up. But that big old black.
Hey, look! It's a big black goat. And he goes.
So you find the Duke. I forgot to mention you find that you get that flask for beating Leon.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And then
right.
you don't know what it is. You're like, oh, but you do see that symbol.
Yeah.
Yes.
The EVE symbol from Resident Evil 7. So you're like, okay, what's going on?
I did know that.
And you go to the Duke, and he is like, well, you have found your daughter. He's like, what's in your hands? And you rub it open, and you're like, oh my god. They dissected my daughter and put her in flasks.
Quit playing when I saw that.
Yeah.
That was disturbing to me.
And then you find out later, I mean, it's still absolutely disturbing to think about.
Yeah.
But the Duke's like, hey, you need to go find the house with the red chimney. You'll find some more answers. And then that's when you go there and you find the key. And the key is going to give you access to the next area.
Right.
Now, like we said, every time you leave an area, you come back out, you have areas to explore. But the Duke is like, hey, by the way, there's hidden treasures all over the place. I'm going to mark the major ones you don't need to miss. So he marks all those on your map. And as you go through the game, you get all these treasures.
They stand out really heavy.
And you can miss them. You don't have to go for it.
Yeah, because I missed a few of them.
Totally optional. And then he's like, okay, well, your next, if you use that key, if you combine that key, you have, every time you clear an area, you get a piece of the key.
4-wing key.
So you get 4-winged, and you get the Unborn, and then you get the 6-wing Unborn. But so as you go, it's at first I was like, oh, I get to go to whatever one of these.
I was going to be pick your own.
I was like, I can go which one I want.
Then you get the 6-wing Unborn Snake Rose combo.
You got your wing key, your 4-wing key, your 6-wing Unborn key. Then you got your 6-wing Unborn Plunder Snake Rose combo.
I couldn't pass that up, man. As soon as you said it, I was like, boom, got it.
You broke me.
I think we found the title. Episode title. That's too long.
All one word.
Anyway, so you find out you have one way to go.
Oh, can we please?
So let's talk about the next chapter,
Let's just not.
House Beneviento.
God almighty.
I have PTSD from
Favorite
this
part of the game.
Favorite part of the game.
Most terrifying.
Most terrifying part of the game. I am willing to say, before we even talk about it, that this is the scariest experience I've ever had in a game ever.
If it would have been in VR, I would have needed therapy.
Oh, no, screw that.
I would have needed therapy.
Screw that.
So, look.
Let's explain it.
Donna Beneviento is...
Neat story.
She has mental problems. Or she had mental problems.
Yes.
You think?
Now, all these House Lords were experimented on by Mother Miranda.
Yeah.
And something to do with... Every time she experiments on these House Lords, certain parts of their personality get enhanced. So, like the Lady D turned the vampire because of her blood disease. Donna Beneviento has mental issues, so she kind of experiments with hallucinogenics. And you find out that all these flowers you're passing up on the way to her house, you read notes that you find out later that because you inhaled the toxins they put out, she's in your head, and she can make you see things.
That's why
out
you
there.
slip me your memories. That's why you slip the picture.
And so as you're walking,
feeding her.
You see Mia, and she's carrying Rose, your daughter, and they're not really there. And she's making it's a huge psychological brain F the whole time.
Yep.
So you go to House Beneviento,
which is in that heyday. That house is probably gorgeous.
I would love to live in that house.
A waterfall sitting right behind
on
it.
the back. You live on a cliff. Just don't run off. Don't fall off the cliff. But like the
stuff inside the house,
the
makes
inside,
you want to go off.
The inside of the house, like aesthetically, man, was beautiful.
No, it starts to.
And as you get to the back, you go to the elevator. It's like the wallpaper start kind of being ripped apart, and then you take an elevator down, and the lights go off, and it says, "Come find me, Ethan." You remember that?
Yeah.
But this is like they took PT and
cranked it up.
Cranked it up to 12.
Yeah, like clearly it was inspired by PT.
Oh, very much so.
But you go down to her doll making room, and there's like she's got like a mini suite under there, right? There's like a bedroom, there's a storage room, and a kitchen.
Like a media room.
She's actually got her room.
But all this stuff is locked up at first, and you have to like experiment with this Mia doll. There's a doll of your wife there, and as you take it apart, you find a key and a wind-up key.
It's literally a puzzle. It's a puzzle.
Yeah,
you're
and
putting the puzzle
you see
pieces
icons,
together.
and you can open up the mouth. You're like, oh, I need to get something to get that film out. And so
tweezers.
So you use the key to go into the room, and you wash off the ring, and it has the blood, and it gives you the code.
That one took me a minute.
Yeah, me too. And it gives you the code to the door.
A bunch of stuff took me a minute.
Then you go into there's the music box in there, and as you go through it's like the movie Saw.
Yeah.
It's like there's like this
Pretty
thing will
much.
get you in that room, and as you go along, and then it's all until you get that film out of the mouth, and then you go into the projector room, right? The movie room, and then you line up the projector pieces, and there's this really like like, you ever seen the movie Sinister with
Yes.
the home movies?
Yes.
I got some Sinister vibes.
Bro, I was thinking the
And
same thing.
they showed the little baby crib, and there's a well. It looks like the Ring.
Yes.
And then that tells you, hey, you need to go down to the well.
It's like
no.
PT plus like all these different
And
horror movies, Sinister, Ring.
Ring.
You know,
That's
like that.
that's whenever the projector screen falls. You go through that little tunnel and you find the scissors that you need to cut open the bandages.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why you couldn't just rip those open with your
I know,
hands.
right?
Whatever. But anyway, you have to cut open the bandages. That's on the Mia doll, and that gives you.
So let me ask you something about
the
this
medallion.
part.
It gives you the medallion to go into the room that takes you down to the well.
Did you, in this playthrough, when you got the scissors, did you go through that hole in the ground right then and there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Really?
I did not.
That was a mistake.
It was a huge mistake.
That was a
Oh,
mistake.
no.
It was a huge mistake because I did not unlock that door.
Oh,
no.
no.
And when the baby came in, I had to hide in the closet.
That's a mistake.
It's a huge mistake. Huge mistake.
Where did it get you?
Right there, that was a dead end.
Well, no. Okay.
'Cause you got-
let's
lead up to it.
Anyway, you
I
go
kind of
down-
spoiled it a little bit.
You go down to the well.
because you're building up to it. Yeah.
You go down to the well.
That was terrifying itself. The
Yeah.
visual aspect.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sorry, but going on to the ray tracing, man, because like games will do fog.
Yeah.
But like the atmosphere, like felt thick.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
basement
gosh.
felt thick.
Even without
Yeah.
the ray tracing.
and then like you find.
I don't want to climb down.
You
this.
find the breaker. You find the breaker box key, and you're like, oh wait, this is what I need
Yeah,
to
that's what I
open the
need.
box, so I can get the heck out of here. So I can go take the elevator back up because I shouldn't have came down here. And
climb up the stairs.
You climb up the stairs, and then you find out that all the lights are off, except for the floodlights that are like
Red.
a deep crimson red.
Yep.
And there's something on the ground.
never
And
good
you-
when there's red.
You go back to the room, and the Mia doll is missing, and there's
The radio's playing.
the radio's playing, and there's an umbilical cord blood trail
Yep.
that's leading back to the elevator that you need to go to with the breaker box key. Now, at this point, I was like, okay, the Mia doll is going to chase me. That's not too scary. The whole time I was like, doll maker, schmalsh maker.
Yeah.
Dolls don't do it for me.
Hey,
Yeah,
see,
same
like,
way.
Dolls don't scare.
I saw the closets all over. I saw the closets in the utility room, and I
Yeah,
saw the
too.
closet in the medicine room. So I was just like, okay, there's going to be something that I have to hide from.
I thought the same thing. I thought that the doll was going to
me
be
too.
walking around, and I was going to hide from the doll. And I was like,
Be
okay,
like,
that'll be all right.
oh, no, a doll. That's
And
scary.
so,
Ah.
as you follow this umbilical cord to the elevator, you don't even get... Now, by the way, I don't know how it was on your PC, but on PS5, your flashlight,
Yep.
you can see about 5 feet ahead
Yep,
of you.
it wasn't that good.
You can't see...
It was kind of like the beginning, where how it's like very dark, and it's only like
Yeah,
barely...
you can't
Yes.
see 5 feet ahead of you.
Yep.
Yep.
And then
That
you
was-
hear this gurgly sound followed by like a baby noise, and around the corner comes this giant...
Capcom's like, hey, y'all thought 7 was scary? Y'all thought 7 was scary? Wait, you get a load of this!
It was terrifying. This abomination, this... It looked like... Remember the fetus in the PT?
Yes.
Yeah.
It grew up.
It's like that, but he grew up like... Really grew up.
Yeah.
Big boy grew
He's
up.
huge. He looks like this weird grasshopper, blood-ridden
His mouth
flesh,
runs down his chest.
vagina
And
mouth
the
monster.
mouth opens like a vagina,
Look,
yeah.
look.
Like,
The moment,
Slobber
the
coming
moment
out.
that
Yeah.
they made
His
this.
eyes are only about halfway. They look like
and
like
it just
that.
like it just giggles when it's easy. It goes,
You know what it reminds me of? Like the stuff off the
With
thing,
like a
the
baby
old
kid.
movie, The Thing.
Ooh, it reminded me.
That-
It reminded
that
me of
Cronenberg
that, and
stuff,
it
The
reminded
Fly.
me. It reminded me a little bit of the Elric's mom coming back when they do the transmutation
no,
circle.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It looked a little bit like that with the hands and the weird limbs, and it's like,
It's all bent.
and it starts chasing you
Look,
down this hallway.
And it's
That-
laughing the whole
what I'm
time.
sa-
It's giggling.
what I wanna
It's
say
like,
is,
Daddy, I'm getting
The first time we did PT, and I knew about Lisa because you guys had already played. And our first time I ever saw Lisa doing her little, I like, oh. But I stood there and watched her.
Yeah.
That thing poked the light, met that baby's face. I went, no.
Yeah.
Lisa,
So I
Lisa's scared.
I snapped Brandon. I go, what the is
Lisa,
that thing?
Lisa
I ran.
is scary. But the thing about PT is that since it's not a full game, there's nothing technically that can
get
hurt
you.
you or get you in that game. Eventually, if you spend too much time, you'll get like snuck up from behind.
Yeah.
And it's a cheap scare. This thing.
No, as soon as I saw it,
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention at the very beginning. Whenever you go down the basement, you get the flask, and then the lights go out, and the little doll's holding it, and she's like, "Why don't you stay with me forever?" And all your weapons are gone.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
right.
You ain't
So,
got no weapons.
You ain't got no weapons to defend yourself, so like
All you
Steve
can do is
said,
hide.
you can hide from this thing. Now, if you were smart and you cut open the paper,
I wasn't.
you already know what to do. You're like, okay, I can run, double back, I can cut through that part where the paper was, and I can go open up the breaker box. And when you do, you find a piece to a door that you passed up earlier, and so you're like, okay, this will fit in that indentation. That's where I need to go. If you double back too quick, that baby will be there waiting for you, so you can't do it too quick. But now it becomes a stealth hide from this giant abomination game.
Yep.
And you go to the room, and that's when you cut through more of these, like, the whole place is completely linear.
Yeah.
So, like, at some point, you're going to have to, like, hide from this thing and double back.
Yeah.
You're going to have to outrun this
You go downstairs through a kitchen and then into that bedroom, which is a dead end.
So you go in there, and that's when you find the fuse. You're like, okay, back to the breaker box, put the fuse in, power comes on, go in the elevator, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
That's whenever you go back through, and the baby is somehow in that area now, pops out, and literally,
Hello.
The only place you can go is back to the room where you found the circuit breaker thing, or the fuse, and you're like, what am I gonna do? First time, I didn't realize that you could get in the cabinet and close it, and I didn't realize you can get under the bed. And so I was like, I don't know what to do.
No.
So it came in through the door. I thought maybe I could shimmy around it. And then it grabbed me and it ate me and it's
freaking vor, bro. It just like pulls you in. You're like, and it goes yummy at the last
exactly
end. That's
what
like,
babies do.
I gotta tell you, you ever seen the Game Over?
The
Dark
Game
Souls?
Over, baby. Yep, that's the 100%.
I gotta tell
had
you,
to inspire it.
I gotta tell you,
I'm pretty sure that one inspired
that headset and this part of the game.
It's so terrible.
I screamed so many times, and Haley my wife was in the backyard playing with our son in the backyard. She heard me scream from inside the house, like from outside the house. I was screaming. I was so glad I played this part during the day.
Yes,
because
normally Vince was sleeping.
Yeah, normally my game time is at night.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I would have been able to hold that in.
Yeah.
After I finally replayed it and I hit underneath the bed and I got back to the thing, the breaker box. If you're fast enough, you don't have to worry about them. But you put the fuse in the breaker box and it comes back on. And then if you're not fast enough, you might have to run to the projector room, and make a little lap real quick.
Yeah.
But you get in the elevator and then it's kind of scripted. But that baby is going to be right behind you when you activate that elevator.
And it throws
yeah, it screams. And thank God that's the last time you see that.
Yeah.
That thing.
Let me tell you how it got me though. So there's a closet in the medicine room. Okay, so my initial reaction was go in the closet in the medicine room because that's the only place where you can go.
Yeah,
so I got in the closet and I waited on it, and then it comes in and it does this little kind of upset, this kind of whining thing. And then it turns around and I'm like, okay, I guess now I got to sneak around it. So I got out immediately and I went back into that room where the Mia doll was at, and I just kind of followed it very, very slowly. And then I thought I had an opportunity to go around it because it was right here and the door was right here. So I thought maybe I could do this. No, I didn't have enough room. I found out I did not have enough room. There was not enough room, Jacob. There was not enough room.
That's where he got you.
Yeah, that's where he got
me. So real quick, mine was I knew those cabinets open, but you could close drawers. There's a button to prompt to open, there's a button to prompt to close. So I just figured, okay, just close the closet. There's no point. They didn't it's big enough.
That's what I thought too.
But then I opened that closet, but then the bed gave me a prompt. I was like, oh, what's that? And it goes hide because the bed says hide. Yeah. It doesn't say climb under. It says hide. And I went, uh-oh. And so I opened the closet.
The closet in that one.
Inside the closet is the fuse, and I'm like, okay. As soon as I grab this fuse, he's gonna be there. So I grab it. He's not there. You go back in the kitchen, and that's when he comes down the stairs.
They play you for a fool because you think you're going to outsmart the game.
Yeah.
And then right when you think you're smart, you're like, okay,
I got this.
And then it pops out of the one door you don't want it to pop.
Right. So what I did is I ran back to the kitchen, and I was like, I don't want to look at his feet. I don't want to crawl from under the bed. I'm getting in the closet. So I got in the closet, and he comes around, he peeks, he butts up against the closet, and my brain's like, go now. And I was like, I'll wait. And then he goes out. What he does, he goes back out of the bedroom. I don't know if it's happened for you guys.
But when as soon as I saw his leg going around the bed, I ran.
So that's what I thought to do. But when he clears that doorway, that's it.
He despawns.
He despawns.
And that's what happened. Really? That's what happened to me in the medicine room the second go round because I was like, I'm gonna wait.
I came out the bed. I was like, he ain't catching me. He ain't catching me.
I'm fast.
It's gonna be on. It's gonna be on.
So.
It's home.
He never got me.
And so you get back up to House Beneviento. You're back in
the doll mode.
So you find the Angie doll, and it's like floating around. It's like, hey, come find me.
hide and
And there's a
seek
bunch
game.
of dolls everywhere, and their heads are
Which
shaking.
is like a pushover at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not even afraid.
Yeah,
of you.
now it's like you could take on anything.
Yeah, that's
And
what I was
so-
telling Brandon.
He's not
Like,
even
I was
afraid
so
of you.
mad because it scared me so bad. I was like, I'm gonna murder
so
all these
I'm
dolls
gonna-
in this room.
This part's kind of fun because like she's hiding
a hide and
amongst the
seek
other
game,
dolls,
yeah.
and you just gotta find her and stab her in the head 3 times,
It's all
and
the
then
cues.
on that 3rd time you realize that you snap out of your
and it's her.
hallucination,
Yeah.
and you're stabbing Donna Beneviento in the face, and she's dead. She crumbles, and then that's when you can pick up the Angie doll,
And you go,
and that's when you like, I'm out, and then so it's time to leave,
Bye.
and then you.
You burn this nice little cottage down to the ground.
And there's a couple like secrets you can pick up
Sure.
on, right? You can get some more of those items and go back to the village.
that
and
gives
get
you some more room to
treasures and-
Metrovania it up again.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you get the next piece of the key. So now you can go to the next part. And I think it's funny.
Not quite the snake rose combo.
Every time you see the Duke, he's always holding something from the last area you're in. He's
Yeah.
like, hey, does this look familiar? He's holding one of the dolls, or
Yeah.
like he's holding something, and he's like, hey, what do you remember this? Oh, he's like scaring you. The Duke is awesome. I
Yeah.
love him.
I
Man.
love
He's
the
the- one of the best characters in the game.
I love
by
him.
far.
I didn't think
Especially
they
at
could
the
outdo,
end.
I didn't think they could outdo the RE4.
Me neither.
They
neither.
did.
But they did. They really did. He was a character. He was charismatic.
And we're gonna talk about some more later.
Yeah.
Now this next part, I feel like is out of all these big chapters we're talking about, this is probably the weakest one.
Oh yeah.
Moro's area.
It was really
Yeah.
quick too.
It's really fast, and it's super linear.
Basically a boss
Yeah.
battle.
It's a couple puzzles. You walk in, and he's just an idiot, and
Yeah.
you find out that he's kind of partially responsible for all the lichens in the area.
Yeah.
because you read about the
He's been
notes
trying
about
to
how.
experiment with the Kaido.
Yeah, I think they don't really say it explicitly, but I think he was like the village doctor,
Doctor,
I think so too.
and he.
It's
Yo,
funny.
it says Moro's
he was
clinic.
Yeah.
If you look at the sign,
'Cause he-
prior to he was smart, but now
it's degrading.
Now he
to
seemed-
quote Don Cheadle, so he's an idiot.
Yes. he seems to be the only one who's obsessed with Mother Miranda's love.
Yeah.
Whereas all the rest of them, like,
Well, he got
like
screwed
Lady,
over.
Lady D is like, whatever. I'll listen to her, but this is my castle. And then Donna Beneviento kind of is the most innocent out of all of them because she had mental issues.
yeah,
She may not even
stuck
know
like
what she
she's
was
stuck
doing.
like a kid. Yeah.
And then Moro, he just got the poop into the
I
stick
think
when
that's
it came
why.
to
I
that.
think he's mad because everybody got enhanced and he
makes fun
got
of
And we learned a little about
Devolved.
Yeah, we learn more about that later. We'll talk about that whenever we talk about like the finale.
Yeah.
But basically, you go through like the reservoir area.
You gotta drain the water.
And you gotta drain the water, and there's some cool puzzles that are involved. And it's not a bad section.
No, it
It's
was
just
done- it was
it's just
done
the
well.
weakest of all of these.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty decent boss fight, and you fight him. You find out he turns into a giant fish monster.
Yep.
And
Can we talk about how
Kinda
you
like
would
Del
think
Lago.
how you think that would smell?
That, I was
Like
gonna
that
say
green
that,
goop.
that whole area
Smell
would
like
stink.
the bayou.
Look, you know,
Slime.
you ever seen like fish, like nasty fish, all dead and washed up on the
Yeah.
shore before, and
Yeah.
you mix with
Yeah,
that bayou
stinky,
smell?
Stinky fish
Yeah,
fart.
I think we all kind of know. As Southerners, I think we'd be kind of hardened for this area.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'd imagine some people playing this game, like maybe like
But you
a.
gotta think, the Resident Evil's gotta be full of pungent smells. I mean, you're dealing with
sure.
literal rotten flesh. with
Yeah, I
the
mean,
first few.
like the basement of Castle Dimitrescu
dungeon.
with the blood
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
That might stink a little
Yeah.
bit. Stagnant blood probably
And
stinks.
then
But the rest of her
the-
castle
the
probably
little-
smell pretty good.
the little poo
Yeah.
boxes too.
Or like
Outhouses.
The little poo. No, I'm talking about the poo boxes in the prison.
yeah. The dungeon probably stinks, but like the castle itself, probably
yeah.
smells pretty
Probably
good.
smells-
But just
Probably
like-
smells
And she's-
perfume.
yeah, she's probably very, very bougie.
Well,
so-
she had.
yeah, she is.
We know she
Yeah, she's
had
bougie.
servants.
Yeah, yeah.
So
at one point.
No, but Moro, he just straight lives in a dilapidated area. All the windmills are there, and you got like the crank puzzles,
that was fun.
outrunning them and stuff. It's really quick. It just happens kind of fast.
I was actually
And-
glad that it was that.
Me
quick.
too. I think it was refreshing, actually.
It's a little dip.
Because the castle seemed like it's
fitting
probably
for-
the longest part of the game.
I
Fitting
don't
for the
know.
character,
Factory
too.
fell for it.
Yeah,
The factory.
felt long.
Yeah.
But I think the factory felt long because there was a lot of Water Temple-esque retracking.
Yes.
You had to do.
Oh yeah, see now I've played this. I'm on my third playthrough. It's like that. I know exactly what I need to do.
Oh, sure.
That's how the Water Temple is in all the time.
But yeah, and then after you kill Moro and you go back with his flask and you find out you're collecting more pieces of your daughter. A TV comes on,
This is where the story changes.
and this is whenever Heisenberg is like, "Hey, look, I don't want to be your enemy." And it's like, "I can kill you if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Look, as a test." If you go down to the stronghold, I'll put some signs out for you, which he does.
He does.
He's like, I'll put some signs out for you. You go down to the stronghold, if you can prove yourself there and get my flask, I want you to come meet me. I want to talk. And so you're like, okay, well, hear this guy out. So you go back, you cut to the village again, and there's big signs everywhere where clearly Heisenberg has put up to let you know where you need to go.
Oh, yeah.
And you go to the Lycan stronghold, which this part is kind of quick, just as quick as Moreau's. I don't think it's as weak because it's really action heavy.
I actually didn't like this part.
It was just,
I liked it.
It was like, this is the part where you get to unload. Like, it is a lot of shooting. It's not a lot of skill.
It reminded me of the part in Resident Evil 4 where you choose between El Gigante or the camp.
Yeah. I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of the part whenever you go, the little stretch there when the helicopter shows up. And
there you go.
It reminds me of that,
because
it's like one of the more action-packed parts of the game. And there's just a lot of fighting. If you don't have the right weapons, it could be a detriment.
Yeah.
Did y'all do Otto, the lumberjack little side place?
I did that on the way out.
The ogre, that was fun.
I did it on the way out.
I didn't.
The big guy.
I didn't know.
Because you know when you go, did you go back for the Benevito treasure?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I wanted to.
You ever seen? So you haven't seen the big guys with the axes?
I've seen them on YouTube.
Okay.
They're hard. They're probably the hardest mini boss.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes.
But there's an extra one you can fight in the mill.
The Lycan, the thing that frustrated me was, so like at the very bottom, you got to make your way up, right? I cleared it because that one big guy.
Did you die and have to restart?
No. I didn't actually die there, but it's Lycan's Lycan, and they finally send that one with the metal, like the alpha, mini alpha.
Yeah.
I've killed everybody. The music goes away. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me go back and get all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I went to the bottom. It was like dun 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 dun. I'm like, come on, man! I just killed everything. That's where I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Really?
Now, they come in waves. There's a way to, like, once you kill them, they'll stop.
Yeah, they stop forever.
But that's the part where you really realize that, like... So, for example, I'm kind of like you guys. I think we all kind of had the same experience. Whenever you're playing with the handgun, you stuck with the LEMI because it's semi-auto.
Yeah.
Instead of the 1911.
I did. I stuck with the
I stuck with it, and then I was like, you know what? I feel like I could be doing more damage. Because I was looking at it, I was like... I got like 3 upgrades on the LEMI, and the 1911 is better as first stat.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'll go with the 1911.
I did.
My second playthrough, I'm gonna do that.
And the 1911 is the best. I don't like the other one.
Yeah.
I don't like the other one.
I didn't buy it. I did buy the shotgun.
It's expensive, and I
Well, you see, for my first few moments, because I bought it on Steam, I got that big bundle, and I did get the Albert Wesker.
How was that? I wanted to ask. How was that?
It's a little better than the LMEI at first, but there's like no upgrades for it. So I think early on, it's good for your first weapon. It's good for your first weapon. But after a while, I wound up selling it and just.
I was gonna say I was disappointed that the Samurai Edge, other than that, is better in the game. Anyway.
I know enough Resident Evil games that you probably don't want to have a fully automatic weapon.
Yeah, same here.
Typically, you don't.
That's what I said. That's what I said about the
1911 is fully automatic, but it's not like pa 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 pa. It's like pa pa pa.
But also, it doesn't have a external or proprietary ammo source.
Yeah.
You know, like in Resident Evil 4, the TMP had exclusive ammo.
Oh, right, okay.
So you use TMP ammo, but all the automatic weapons are all handguns.
Yeah,
And
it's all the same ammo.
Yeah, until you play the game later or replay it. You go into the Lycan stronghold and you fight the big bad Lycan guy from the beginning of the game, and even if you killed him there, it's like a different one, I guess.
Yeah, he was a cakewalk.
And you fight him. He's like a big bad Titan dude with a big hammer, and then you get the flask. And Heisenberg's like, "All right, come on back to the factory. Put all the flasks in the thingy, and then put the big thingy in the other thingy." And then the altar's going to drop it, and you're going to come to my factory. Yeah. And so, at that point, the Duke's like, hey, you might want to buy what you want to get. You might want to get what you...
Yeah, I like that. He gives you a little
He's like,
clue.
hey, if you got anything else you need to do, you better wrap it up. Which is very nice. I love it when games do that. So you put all your flasks with your daughter's pieces in the giant's chalice, and then you put it in the altar, and it drops down, and the bridge comes up, which is super cinematic and cool. And you go to Heisenberg, he's like, hey, just leave her there. She'll be all right. And you're like, okay.
You're like, it's not a trap, I promise I'm not going to kill you.
You don't know who to trust. You don't know if you can trust this guy or not. And then
it's funny because when you walk in that field of the factory, I don't know if it was just scripted or just coincidence, but I was actually just like I always do, like looking for stuff in the grass. He goes, "Come on, man, I'm not going to kill you. It's not a trap."
He says that to me too.
He said that to me too.
He's like, "Come on in, it's not a trap, I promise." And then you go in there.
You got to kind of scavenge in Resident Evil, so,
right?
You know.
Yeah, and he's actually right because you go in there,
you pull the curtain,
and you see he's got all like this whole plan planned out, right?
Yeah.
He's got all the 4 lords on there, and he kind of he's like, sit down, and clearly he's unhinged. He's really pissed, and understandably so, but he basically tells you, hey, look, these aren't my real siblings. We're just people who got...
I don't like them. I don't like none of them.
He's like, I don't like any of them. He's like, especially Lady D. He's like, I don't want anything to do. I don't like Miranda. I don't want to be here. I'm trying to get out of this.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I can kind of
Your
understand.
daughter's the key.
Now Ethan's like, I'm not helping you, no matter what.
Well, he's like, your daughter's the key.
He's
That's
like,
the big
yeah,
thing.
we gotta resurrect your daughter, and when she
Yeah.
comes back, we're gonna use her power to kill Miranda, and I can get out of here. And he's like, Ethan's like, I don't want nothing to do with y'all's
Just
personal
want my
squabble.
kid.
I just want my kid. I want to get out. And so you hear this thing revving up down in this pit.
Quiet!
Yeah, and then Heisenberg's like, all right, well, you know what? If you're not gonna help me, screw you. And he pushes you down into that pit, and this giant prop propeller
that's
zombie
a
man
weird dude
is chasing after you.
I'd like to know the developer of the brain that thing came out of, because that's very unique.
I'm pretty sure they dropped some acid.
Well,
every
no.
time they make
There's
it.
actually a thing going around where there's this movie called Frankenstein's Army that has creatures that look just like the ones in this area. And there's like a...
I saw this.
There's
the
like
copyright.
a copyright thing going on.
Okay.
But anyways,
Anyways, continue.
so this thing's chasing you around, and then you get to the factory area. Now this is another kind of castle area.
Labyrinth kind
It's
of
about the length of the castle, I feel like. But it's a lot more mazy.
Vertical. It's more vertical.
It's more
too.
vertical, and it's more of a maze, right? And it's once again that Resident Evil style. Go here, get this piece. Go there, can unlock this door. But these creatures, you're not fighting regular old zombies. You're not fighting werewolves anymore. You're fighting
cyborgs.
his metal army that he's building to fight against Mother Miranda.
These guys are intimidating.
And when you first get in there and you open up that hatch and you look up, and he's got an assembly line
Yep.
of these things. Hundreds
You know what sounds like?
upon thousands of these things.
How big was this village?
Yeah.
Where all these people come from?
Well, yeah.
I know it's at the end of this video game, right?
Yeah,
but that's
yeah,
just Jacob's brain. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Well, I want to circle back to the village here in a minute, but basically you run through the factory area and you're fighting all these big, scary monsters with
Drill
augers
arms.
for
Yeah.
arms, double augers for arms. They got jetpacks.
Yeah.
They got flying around, and there's this big old super heavy ones, the big rebar Wolverine claws.
Yeah.
You got to blow the armor off them and hit their weak spot. And then there's that prop motor thing that's chasing you all the time. And
That was a fun fight.
as you kind of get, there's not a whole lot to.
I did not know
to
the
harp on.
copyright though. I have to look that up real quick. It's weird.
There's not really a whole lot to harp on in this area because it's just kind of getting through it, and
Yeah.
then there's a lot of just like new puzzle types, like shooting the big red buttons and just fighting the new types of bad guys. And
It does some scary stuff here and there. You gotta go back and the lights go off, and then all you see is that red light in the distance. You're like, dang it.
Yeah, it's not as at this point,
Not terrifying.
House-
You're seasoned at this point.
yeah, House Beneviento has prepared you for
Oh
everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just nothing.
I mean, there's some scary
nothing-
parts where the lights go out when you're
Yeah.
doing the generators, and
A
those
couple
big
of jump
scary
scares
things
that
are
got
coming
me.
out. Yeah.
Sometimes when I turn the corner, one of them things would be like reeled back to get me, and that scared.
Or like the soldats
bejesus
would come out of the
me. Yeah.
machines or drop off the assembly line and come chase you.
Yeah.
You know, you get a challenge for shooting one down in the distance. Yeah.
You know.
And then so as you get out of there, you're about to get out, and then Heisenberg's like, "Nah, dude, sorry," and he hits you, and you fall all.
That
the way
made me
back
so
down.
mad. I was like,
I knew that they weren't going to make you go all the way back around.
Yeah.
And so whenever you get back down there, now you've been
Even Ethan was the first one. He's like,
I haven't
I gotta go through this again.
I haven't mentioned this, but you have found traces of Chris Redfield in the village.
Yeah, you ran into
You
him
find
at
his
Morrow.
computers, and then you saw him at Morrow's. He's like, "Hey, look," he's like, "You're not supposed to be here. I didn't want you to get involved."
Right.
And you don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
All you know is that he killed your wife, and he stole your baby, and he's there, and he's trying to kill these people. You don't know what's going on.
Right.
But and you know, you as a protagonist, as Ethan Winters, you know, you're mad because he kills your wife and took your
And
kid.
as a Resident Evil
and didn't
fan,
even tell him.
as a Resident Evil fan, you're like,
Whoa,
"Whoa,
wait a
that's
minute.
Chris."
Chris isn't a bad guy.
Time out.
What's
Yeah,
going
Chris
on?
is good guy number one.
Yeah.
This dude punched a boulder in a volcano.
He did.
And double blasted Wesker with a rocket launcher in a volcano.
And punched the boulder.
And punched a boulder. Anyway, so yeah, Chris is like, "Hey, look, I rebuilt this thing.
Ultimate macho.
I'm gonna explain everything to you later."
Composite. It's composite metal, we should say.
Does he tell you but down there?
I think
does.
so. I think that's what happens.
That's why he reveals everything.
Like that, I think that's why you get that little like flash where it like goes black. I think that's kind of like a time
That's
skip
right.
where he goes over everything.
Yeah, I think
He's
he
like,
tells
hand
you
me that
everything.
rent. And he's like, all right, I got time.
Yeah,
Hand me that wrench.
he's like,
I was
hey,
expecting him to be like, hand me that wrench.
Yeah,
Bah!
that's what I thought too.
I was like, no, I'm not handing you that
that's what I
wrench.
thought was gonna happen.
I'm not handing you
But
that
he's
wrench.
like, well, you made this far. I guess I can tell you what happened. He's
Right.
like, look, I'm about to blow this place sky
The
high.
place- yeah.
And
But I will say this though, I'm glad, like it's good that they recognized that, somebody, one of his men was just like, Chris, we should have just told him from the get-go.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, we should.
But anyway, so he I think he tells you there. He's like, hey, that wasn't your wife.
Yes, that's where he reveals all this.
He's like, that was Miranda. She can shapeshift.
Yeah.
And that's why we shot her, because she was in your home.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we took the baby to keep her safe.
We don't know where your wife is.
But now, like we mentioned at the very beginning of this, I didn't know this. You probably didn't know this, but Chris was not operating as part of the BSA.
Yeah, no, I didn't
He's
know
operating on his
Yeah.
own with his team. His team's awesome, by the way.
Oh yeah,
they
that's
are.
so awesome.
They're pretty cool.
Wolfhound, Hound Wolf, was it?
Wolf Pack.
Wolf. I think it's
Something
Hound
like that.
Wolf. I think it's
I think it's Wolfhound.
Wolfhound. But anyway, so he builds this little tank thing that has a chainsaw and a machine gun and a rocket launcher with infinite ammo. He's like, all right, take this out of here and go, just cut your way out of here.
It's big boss battle time.
And so you blast your way out of the elevator and you fight Heisenberg in his like mutated form, which he has like.
He's like a transformer got stuck in putty. Silly
Yeah,
buddy.
pretty much.
Yeah, he looks like that Transformer from the second one,
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
climbing on the big thing that has the balls, but
Yeah.
he doesn't.
And someone got silly putty stuck in.
Heisenberg was way cooler when he wasn't transformed.
Yes,
I don't
he
know why
was.
he just didn't
I
face it
know.
like that.
I mean, he'd have been stronger like that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been
he
able
had
to-
the big hammer.
Exactly.
He had Magneto powers.
Yeah.
He could have, like, I don't know. He could have just took apart that machine you were in. Anyway, whatever. Heisenberg is the weak part.
You know what's
here.
funny about that boss fight? Like, I had no idea that he had like weak spots.
Yeah,
that had,
little
like,
glowy
spots.
red areas.
I literally targeted his head the entire time. I killed him. That
Well, you
way.
got an infinite
You got a
machine
you got a
gun
cannon it.
that doesn't overheat, and you can blast them with the missile launcher. And then at some point, you fall out of your machine, and you got to shoot them a little bit.
Yeah.
And it shoots you back up in the air. It's a pretty easy boss fight.
It is, yeah. Not too bad.
But it's refreshing because you have all the firepower you
Yes.
need.
Yeah.
Whereas these other boss battles, it's been kind of like.
Oh man, I'm getting low on shotgun
Yeah,
shells.
you're getting by with the skin of your teeth if you're playing on like a higher difficulty or normal. I played on normal, and I feel like normal was plenty challenging.
Oh yeah, I played it on normal too.
And then Heisenberg dies, and then Mother Miranda shows up. She's like, "Hey,
Yeah. I'm the witch.
I'm here.
I'm Mia.
I can shapeshift. I was the old hag. I wanted you to get here. I wanted you to test all these people
This robe's heavy.
because apparently she's gonna kill you and use you. And she's like, okay, hey, by the way, boom! I ripped out your.
I got your heart.
Yeah.
You're dead.
It's like that game you play with kids. I got your nose.
And this
Got
whole
your heart.
time, I'm joking to myself. I'm like, I'll pour some herb juice on it.
Yeah.
because all throughout the game,
And Resident Evil 7 too.
yeah, Resident Evil 7, you're getting your limbs cut off,
foot
and
gets
you're
cut off.
you're putting them on, and you put some.
I mean,
Zoe
Lady
stapled
D
it.
literally just goes
yeah,
with
cut
your arm,
off.
and you put the arm on, and you pour the juice on there, and then not only does it fix the arm, it fixes the jacket.
It did.
And you're just like,
I think it's tattered right there. though.
they
it
made
is tattered, but it's secure.
It's attached.
It's attached. There's a scar on the jacket.
The jacket scar.
Yeah. But you see, the crazy thing is,
It's
Resident
true.
Evil 7, when Jack Baker takes your leg, all he does is pour the stuff on
But
it.
Zoe
stapled it.
She
She staples the hand.
She stapled
not
the
the
arm.
leg.
But yeah, but the leg is optional.
The leg is optional.
It might not happen to you in 7.
It did to me.
Man. But anyway,
It happened to me on my second
but see,
playthrough.
I never
didn't know
questioned
that happened.
anything because in 7,
Resident Evil.
In 7 it was happening, and I was like, okay.
Well, I had a theory.
These herbs.
And
It's
it
funny
was right.
because Jacob asked me. I was playing and I was listening on his playthrough, and he's like, man, dude, Ethan must have got like some of these mold powers or something because he's like, I don't know how he's putting himself.
It's like they forced you to eat
And
it
I
at
was
the very beginning.
I was like, nah, dude, it's the herbs. It's the herbs.
Me and Brandon are here like, no, it's just. It's
And
the
I was
earth,
in my head
trust
like,
me.
come on, Brandon. Use a big
Well, I
brain.
mean,
Use
you
a big
know,
brain.
well, I mean, think about it, man. I mean, when you go back
Now-
to like Resident Evil 1, like you get bit by a
Oh,
zombie,
sure.
get infected.
But I knew because that's what happened to the Bakers. The Bakers had the
Here's
mold.
some
That's
green
why
herbs.
That's why they were immortal, quote unquote.
I tell you, they need to get Phil Swift on that. They need the Flex Seal.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I got the new herb juice.
Got herb juice Flex Seal edition.
Anyway,
Your arm fell off.
That's a lot of healing.
That's a lot of damage.
that's a lot of damage. Let's get it fixed.
This is-
That's It's like a gel. It's not a spray.
But you see, I really like how in 7 and 8, it's not the herb itself that cures you, because I always thought it was funny in Resident Evil. I always imagine people go like take that herb and just go.
Because it's on paper. It's not like on little paper.
Yeah, and then Resident Evil 5 comes around, and then it just automatically becomes aerosol.
It's aerosol. And then 6,
put it in here.
In 6, it's tablets. It's little tablets. You eat. Let's not talk about 6.
I know. It's just so funny. Like back in the day, just being like, I'm healed.
But anyways, you need the blue one for poison. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I'm poisoned. My
So,
hands turning red, slapping myself.
So anyway, Miranda, after she rips your heart, Ethan's kind of going into this like in and out space. Is that after the Chris thing?
That's after Chris.
After Chris.
So you pick up as Chris,
Which is like my favorite part of the game.
Oh yeah.
Because
it's like
kills
you are fully equipped. You got an assault rifle. You
Alpha,
got a
we're ready.
pistol. You got a target selector to do an airstrike.
freaking laser pointer that does airstrikes.
This part was really cool
Lobo.
because
Lobo. Yeah.
just like I
Lobo.
mentioned with
it's all wolf related too.
with the Heisenberg battle, you're like fully loaded, and this is like I'm Chris, I'm ready. And I don't know if you noticed, but like when things bite you, he punches them off.
I was gonna say Ethan plays different.
Oh, by the way, we missed the best part in the entire game.
All right.
Heisenberg's quote where he's just like, "Oh, that boulder punching bastard."
Yeah, because Chris blows up his metal army in his factory. But yeah, so you basically go back to the village again, and it's kind of grown, and
The mold is sprouting out of the ground.
Miranda has like this mold power to grow these mold trees.
We find out the root of the mold is here.
Yeah. And we don't know what it's called. Well, Chris kind of talks about the mutamycete.
Yeah, mutamycete.
Which we know from 7. Mm-hmm. And we find out there's this thing called the megamycete. Which is kind of like the hive mind of the mutamycete. Yeah. And we kind of explored this a little bit in Resident Evil 7, but because that's how Evelyn was able to control the Bakers, is because
origins too.
Because you find out that the mutamycete works like a network.
Yep.
Which is really interesting to think about. Other than kind of like on Resident Evil 4, I have a theory. Don't let me forget to tell you my theory.
Yeah, I want to know the theory.
It's kind of like in Resident Evil 4 how the Lost Plagas were controlled by the dominant.
The Queen Plaga?
Yeah, the dominant Plagas could control the recessive Plagas. Mm-hmm. Here, it's just like the Megamycete retains all the information. Yep. He who or she who has contact with it can see and assess that data. Yep. Which is a super interesting thing about it. That's why Miranda is, and we're going to talk about Miranda in just
It's so funny the way she describes it too when she talks about how it like records things.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And so like this is your part where Chris is like, burn it all down, let's go. And you're fighting through all kinds of lichens.
Yeah, you realize your gun doesn't take much. Heads are popping like crazy.
Damage is high. You got super good damage. You got high rate of fire.
Got grenades.
You got all the good stuff.
You got boulder punching
and you got
hands.
plenty of it too. And Umber Eyes, she's like, hey, I dropped the ammo drops over here. Follow the green light. Mm-hmm. And this part's really cool because on that TV with all the HDR and stuff,
night
it was
vision.
so cool when that night vision comes down. It scared me at first, and then like seeing the eyes of those lichens and the night vision and shooting them. This part was so cool.
There's one thing about that. I did not like the aerial strike on the mold.
Yeah, it was kind of aggravating because you had to put it up, and every time you got hit, it would reset.
If they'd have made the cooldown timer faster, it wouldn't have been too bad. It's like, I can't hold it still if there's waves of lichens, and I gotta kill the lichens.
You gotta like move sideways, dodge them,
I didn't have too much of a problem with it.
I died there a few times.
Oh, really? I didn't have too many problems.
That's really the only few times I died.
And then
I don't think I died as Chris.
You blow up the thing with your airstrike, and then you go down, and then you fight the super mega hammer guy that you gotta use the airstrike on.
He's got
Darius, but Cthulhu.
Yeah.
And then you find the Megamycete and you throw a bomb and you're like, okay, this is a really big bomb.
The little tiny little bomb that's got like a nuclear warhead.
Yeah, pretty much. And then
you go.
And then you go to Miranda's. You find Miranda's laboratory down there, and this is where you find out. This is like the narrative.
Oh, it's like it connects everything.
If you skip this part,
the letter,
then you just lost everything.
Yeah. So they have a book for each one of the house lords.
Big porcelain. Keep going.
And then you find out about Lady D, and you find out you find out mainly that Miranda has been experimenting because she wants to bring her daughter back to life. Yes. Miranda is immortal.
She's immortal.
Yeah.
She's
been alive.
A long time.
She's been alive since at least the early 1900s, late 1800s, because her daughter died of the Spanish flu. And you find out that her whole goal was to bring her daughter back to life by using the Megamycete and Mutamycete.
Yeah.
And the Evelyn project from 7 was kind of part of this goal of hers.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, keep going. I'm so excited about this.
I know, this is the best part.
So you find out that Miranda was sad about her daughter's death and went to go commit suicide in a cave nearby the village that she lived in, which is the village we're at now, which is the cave you're in. And what did she discover? She discovered the Megamycete, and she touched it and became infected with it, and she learned all this information about anyone who's ever been infected by it in the local area. And so she realizes that she can use this power to bring her daughter back to life. And to do that, she has to experiment. Now, she was a scientist, and she did experiment on things prior to being infected. But as she is basically abducting these villagers and experimenting on them, there's only certain ones that aren't turning into just abominations like lichens or zombies. Right. There's certain people who can take it better, and those are your 4 lords. Yep. And you're like, that makes sense. Yep. And you find out about Lady D. Of course, she gets experimented on because she's of noble blood. Right. Yep. And we talked about her hereditary blood disease. Moro was the village clinic probably, and he got experimented on. He just so happened to not take it as well as the others.
He got dumber.
And he kind of lost it and became more like dumb and more like of a weird creature. Yeah. And then Heisenberg, and he got electric powers for some reason. That's how he can get the electromagnetic fields. That's why he can make the metal float around. I don't know. Right. Sure.
Don't get it.
Okay. Captain.
She said Lady D was the most eligible, even though she wasn't eligible for evil.
Yeah.
She's like this.
Because she was the only one that was like immortal, like the rest of. Because we don't know if Heisenberg was immortal before. And Donna Beneviento, she just kind of. I feel kind of bad because she was mentally ill when she took her in, and her story's kind of sad. Yeah. I give her a pass. She's
stuck as a kid.
I give her a pass, but I think she just turned evil because of the.
Oh yeah.
And then the big reveal.
The big reveal.
Now, before we say it. You found the Umbrella logo on the altar, and you're seeing it a lot. And you find out that's the 4 houses. Yeah. You find out that's the 4-house Lord symbol. Yeah. But wait a minute, what about Umbrella? Then you find this note.
Where's the Umbrella connection?
There's someone who had a relationship with Miranda that was writing a letter back, and you see all these pictures of him, like young versions of him. Yeah. Like in Alaska, like. He's on the quest for human evolution. Who else but Oswell Spencer?
The big bad guy, the titular mansion where it all began, the Spencer Estate, Resident Evil 1.
So you find out that Mother Miranda
was in a relationship
is inadvertently the progenitor of everything that's ever happened in Resident Evil.
Yep.
And it's not... Now, Oswald Spencer said, hey, look, listen... I want to work with you, but your ambition is different. I don't want to resurrect people from the dead. I want to further human evolution. And he talks about, I found this Ouroboros up in Resident Evil 5.
It wasn't Ouroboros. It was the flower.
The flower,
the flower that had the progenitor virus.
That's right. Yeah, Ouroboros comes later.
Ouroboros is a combination, I think, of the progenitor and the Las Plagas.
That's right. So he's like, I found the flower up in Kajuju. No, I appreciate that.
South Africa.
And he's like, that hints at Resident Evil 5. So it all just connects, and that's whenever you're a Resident Evil fan, you're like.
Resident Evil 5, you find where the flowers are. What's the name of the flower? I can't remember the name of the flower. It's like the tear of
God, Spencer costs 360 days.
I'm about to look that up.
Resident Evil 5 is a good game. I don't care what anybody says.
No, it is a good game.
Anyways, and then you find Mia's locked up in there, and she's still alive. Yep. And you're like, oh, look, dude, Ethan's dead. I'm sorry to tell you. She's like, no, he's not dead.
He's special.
He's special. He's not dead. I didn't tell you everything.
And then
you swap back to Ethan, and he's still alive. And you're like, okay, clearly something's going on. And then Evelyn pops up, and she's like, hey, by the way, when Jack Baker, when you first got caught by Jack Baker, he killed you.
He killed you 3 years ago.
Yeah, you're actually dead. And you're mold. Mm-hmm. You're
mold.
You're like 100% mold. So that makes sense because clearly Ethan's made out of mold, which means that Mia has to have some mold in her, or Mutamycete, and that means that they created a child who was like a hybrid of mold.
That's what I was saying. That's why I was like, the bedroom.
Yeah. well, to them they're just regular humans. Like,
Right,
they don't.
right. I know.
But
It's just like
the mold is so microscopic, or the mutamycete is.
it is. It's in the bloodstream. It's in everything. It's in your. It's
So like
the DNA.
you find it, and
cellular level.
you find that out, and you're like, oh crap. So that explains why Ethan's able to attach all
And
his
that
flame
explains,
I was right.
That explains why the jacket too, because the jacket is a part of his creation. Like that's just what the mold created. So it makes sense that the jacket reattaches because the jacket.
I
is
want
a
that
part
jacket.
Of the
It's a nice jacket.
It is a nice jacket.
I want Chris's jacket.
And then, sorry, I had to make sure that wasn't crying screams from the other
I was
room.
happy.
So anyway, you resume as Ethan, and then you wake up in a carriage, and the Duke is there. You're riding in the Duke's carriage, and he's like, "Hey, you're awake." And he's like, "Man,
hey, you're finally awake.
you're kind of falling apart back there, dude." And then he's like, "You realize your hands kind of starting to fall apart." Which, by the way, this is why I'll bring up one of my complaints. Why the heck didn't his fingers grow back?
I was wondering the same
They're
thing.
bandaged the whole time. Why didn't they grow back?
I don't know.
So anyways, the Duke is like, hey, listen. The ceremony site, right down like a couple strides that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Miranda's down there. And he's like, why are you doing this? Why are you helping me? Who are you? And the Duke's like, I can't even really answer that question. Which, that brings up more questions. What is the Duke?
What is the Duke?
Who is
the Duke? What is
and why is he so motivated to help?
ferryman. He's death.
I don't know what he is. But he's like low-key the best character in the game.
Oh, yeah,
like
definitely.
why? Because if you read, he's got a contract with had a contract with Dimitrescu.
Yeah, that's why
he's got his own room.
That's why his room was in there.
That room, elevator.
Yeah,
One place he doesn't have
he's on the check-in list. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's in Moro's place, and he's just like, oh, I'll just squeeze back here. You're gonna eat that. So this is where the last battle happens, and the Duke is like, hey, if you need anything else, you better buy it from me now.
If you understand, if you're going to do this, you're not coming back from it.
Yeah, he tells you this is it. And so you go down, and Mother Miranda's got the baby, and then Chris shoots her. He's like, get out of there, man! And you get the baby, and where's the baby go? I can't remember. Does he give it to...
She just swallows it up. The mold swallows it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you fight Mother Miranda, who looks like a scary witch monster with the big... She looks like a Wendigo. She looks like a Wendigo.
Yeah.
She goes through different forms, and I think like a lot of the forms are reminiscent of like former Resident Evil bosses because she does go through that
She's got a flight form.
Sadler form with the
spiders.
with the spider.
Mm-hmm.
Biter.
So
It was an okay boss fight.
It was okay, but at that point in the game, like I had hardly any ammo, and I was
See, I lucked out. I had a good bit of ammo, but she's still
she's a bullet sponge. Yeah,
Yes.
I had Magnum ammo.
She killed me.
Hit her with Magnums. I hit her with sniper rifles. I hit her with all my hands.
I know with the noob tube.
She
Hit her
killed
with
me.
the noob tube. I used all my noob tube. On
But
her
and you know what's
down
cool about this fight? Like every boss you fought, you can start to tell when they're waning.
Yeah.
Like they start to get weaker, or they start to turn kind of moldy-ish. She never. She just eventually cuts
I
and
just
happens.
kept shooting.
The only
Let me tell you-
time I realized that she was getting weak was when it went dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that it was like one of her last things.
Well, let me tell you what happened to me when I fought her. When I fought her, I got her to that last part, but I was like on the verge of death. And apparently, you have to have a little more health than on the verge of death because she killed me in that
Yeah,
scene.
I died at the beginning because I walked in the orange, and every time she hit me one time, I died.
I
died like 3 or 4 times.
I had like 5.
And you see,
bombs.
it's like
I had like 2.
It gave me the prompt: press, click to attack. So I'm sitting here clicking, and he's doing nothing.
Oh, that
What's
last
going on?
battle
What's going on? Why
where
is she not doing it? And
where
then
she
I died.
grabs you. Yeah,
And I died.
I had ammo left. I guess I had enough.
I had ammo. The thing
I
is,
think that scene gives you ammo.
it does give you ammo, but the thing is that my health was so low. You have to have apparently
'Cause
you
she
have
hits
to
you
go
a couple
into-
times.
Now, I
you have
had-
to go into that with a little bit
Yeah,
of
I
health.
had
makes
the mega, whatever the ultimate food,
Bro, I was so
food
mad. I was
health
about to
upgrade.
quit. I
I
was
had
about to quit.
I had bought that one. I had everything but the minors. I had the speed. I had the best blocking, and I had the best health.
I didn't
Same
have.
thing.
I didn't.
Same
I didn't
thing.
do any of that. I didn't have any meat. I couldn't find any meat.
What?
What?
couldn't I find
Dude.
Chickens were everywhere.
Yeah, dude. Chickens, fish, the goats,
Okay, I take it back.
the pigs.
I had chicken.
bird.
I had chicken and I had meat, but I only bought like one dish.
Now the
Oh,
fish,
man,
the fish
it makes-
kind
it's a
of.
game
I didn't
changer.
pass on some fish until I didn't realize. Oh, I'm supposed to go in the water and stab these.
Well, but
Well,
the
you
fir-
see, from
the
Resident
first
Evil 4,
time
I was just like,
I didn't kill any of the animals. I had the option to, but I never did because I was like, I don't want to kill any animals. And then the Duke was like, "Hey, I can make meals." I was like, I remember all those.
kill all of them.
I'll be right back.
I went back to everywhere that I was. But yeah, this boss battle, it's fine.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't the best, but then
it wasn't quite as memorable as some of
first somehow I guess because I don't know because the
It wasn't.
the
It
Mega
wasn't.
Mycete's
It
not
wasn't
blown
mega.
up.
It wasn't Mega Wesker out of volcano.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say the
level.
Mega Mycete's not blown up yet, and then
That is a fun
I guess
one.
you just beat her.
You beat her, and then she Rose comes out of her corpse. Basically,
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
and that's where you snag her, and then Chris comes in.
Chris is like, "Hey, we're gonna get out of here." He's like, "Tell my wife I love her."
That's
And
where you
he's-
start. You look down, your hand starting.
And he's like, "Tell her, you tell her yourself." And I felt so bad because he shoves him, like he puts the coat on the baby, he shoves him, and then you find out he's got the trigger for the bomb.
Yeah, he switched it.
And you're like, "Oh man, look, Ethan
her.
might be." In Resident Evil 7, he may have been one of the more forgettable characters, but he kind of
No.
grows on
Oh
you in
God,
8.
yeah, he redeems himself.
He
in
grows.
8.
He grows on you in 8. So by the time you got, it's pretty emotional.
I was gonna say this. Resident Evil's got little hints of tender moments in them, but this was like the most tender I thought.
because he's
it
the only
had.
one that's like a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel bad because like all this was for, I don't want to say for nothing, but like he sacrificed himself to get his daughter
absolutely.
out. And Chris is like upset about it. He get in the helicopter, and Mia's like, "No,
Wham! He's dead.
I felt
He's
so
not coming
bad.
back.
And then this is the part whenever he's like, maybe we should have told, this actually happens earlier, but he's like, maybe we should have told Ethan the plan, which, yeah, why not?
Yeah, you see, I'll never understand why
I don't get that part.
games and movies take that narrative approach. It's just like, tell them what you're doing. 'Cause you
Especially
see me-
Chris.
Yeah.
Why would Chris hold out that information?
exactly. Like if I'm sitting there and somebody kills my wife, at that point, I don't even think I'm gonna listen to you after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you meet him up. You meet up with him, and you're like, "Oh, hey, Chris, what's going on?" And he's like, "Hey, get out of here." You're like, "Wait a minute, are you not mad?"
Well,
are you not
Ethan,
pissed?
Ethan just kind of lays on the ground and takes it. He's just like, why don't you just kill me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'd be like, my hands would be around his throat, like, die, Chris. It's time to die. You were
Good
my
luck.
favorite
Punch your
character.
head off.
Oh yeah, well, you know, being
But
a-
you try, right? But
try, yeah.
I don't know.
And then I feel like Chris should have been like, it's okay, she's an imposter. And then Ethan would have been like, what? He'd be like, I'll explain it. Just chill out.
yeah.
It's
But
not even
Maybe
yet.
he was in military
So-
mode. You got to get point A, point B.
So-
you don't have time to talk. I don't know.
So yeah,
He was too busy thinking
Ethan
about
blows.
Bulger's punch.
Ethan blows the Mega Mycete to hell,
Yeah.
and the village
Takes
goes
himself.
with it. He takes himself with it, and they fly off.
I want to
and-
say something though. The game looks amazing, but they just still can't get explosions. Because
Yeah.
that explosion was a little gross.
well, that looked like it was an FMV.
Yeah.
it didn't even look like it was like rendered in game.
They look little old Resident Evil 1 explosion.
I don't know about one. I don't know about one. Maybe it looked like a Resident Evil 4
That
explosion.
old FMV.
But yeah, and then,
Oh no! It exploded!
and then after the credits roll and all that, we get like that
hand gesture.
post credit scene.
Yeah, that was really
where
cool.
It's clearly Rose all grown up. She's got the jacket. And she
Definitely
goes-
time has passed. Well, this is what, 12, 13-ish years?
She's got to be 18.
Or does
She's an
she-
adult.
or
She's
does
an adult.
Theory.
hyper.
I hope so.
Does she rapidly age
Age.
like Evelyn did?
I hope so.
You didn't say.
Because if not, Chris will be like 60-something years old.
He's literally gonna be 60 years old.
Yeah, it's
because
true.
okay, Chris was
I
born.
think she rapidly aged.
I hope that's the case. Canonically, Chris was born in 73. Okay, so and I
Yeah.
did the math.
No.
math, and then Resident Evil 8, I confirmed, takes place in 2021. So that would mean in 2017 he's gonna be like 43, and then 2017 to 2021 is like what, 4 years later?
Yeah.
So he's 47 and 8. So if she grows up to be 18 plus, he's gonna be 60.
No, you know what? Now that you say this, I completely didn't even put these together. But the agent that's supposed to be watching her, he's like, you just like your dad. So obviously he knew it. He's probably
Yeah.
one of the team members.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look that old, so
Yeah.
she's definitely got to be.
I think-
And who's the dude walking up? Was that the sniper? or
Now,
something?
the dude walking up to the car after they pull off from the graveyard, which she visits Ethan's grave, and then the guy's like, he's like, oh,
Do you need me to take care of it?
no. What does he say? He's like, come on, we gotta go, Evelyn. And then she's
yeah.
like, she pushes him up against the car.
that was cool.
And she's like, I can do things that Chris doesn't even know about.
Yeah.
And then the guy, he's like, stand down. And clearly she has some kind of powers.
Yeah.
And they get in the car and they drive off in the sunset. And there's a figure walking up to the car and the car stops. Now,
Okay.
people have used hacking tools to see who that figure is. It's actually Ethan's model. Don't know if that's just a place. Like, it's so far off, you're not supposed to be able to see it.
How did
It's
how did he
probably
do
just
that?
it's probably just a reused asset.
Probably just it's gotta
It's probably just a reused asset,
okay.
just as a generic figure without a face that's walking up to
Okay.
the car. Or maybe it's more than
be.
that.
Capcom's probably like,
we're
well,
not
that was what it was, but now we're
we're
gonna
not
bring
gonna
back.
know. But then it says the dad's story is over.
Yeah.
So it is hinting that we'll be playing or seeing more of Rose in the future.
Hey,
Which I'm cool with.
yes.
Now let's kind of talk about. I mean,
She
I know
needs to
we're
grow
running a
up,
little
yeah.
long. My biggest complaints of this game are just about all narrative. I did not like the information being withheld with the deluxe edition.
I didn't even know that, but I agree with you now.
I did not like the. At first, I didn't like the idea of like all these different witches and werewolves, but
I did.
All the explanations.
I was on board.
I was on board with it, but as a Resident Evil game, I was like, I can't wait to see how they connect it all.
Yeah.
And they did. They did not fail, except for with Heisenberg. I feel like he was the weaker explanation.
Yeah.
I like how they tied it all into to the story, like the main canonical story of Resident Evil. Other than that, I don't really have any complaints. I love the gameplay. I love the guns. I love the gun selection. I love the aesthetic. The music is kind of there.
Yeah,
but it's not as iconic as like Resident Evil 2 or 4.
Okay, I agree with that. I was going to say, to the flip that script, they replaced that with a 3D audio and the sound effects.
The audio design.
Hearing the Lycans go, and look, you're doing this going, dum, 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 and you're following the sound.
The Tempest 3D audio with...
I can't wait to see how they do that with VR.
With the PS5, the adaptive triggers, we
didn't talk about that.
The HD rumble, even the heartbeat.
I don't have anything.
The heartbeat of the baby, being able to feel the heartbeat of the baby, knowing if it's coming after you.
You can feel the heartbeat.
Yeah, and the controller. Shooting the machine gun.
Shooting the machine gun. When you would knife something, it would give you feedback. Like when you made contact, it would go, and there would be a feedback on the trigger.
The different aiming sensitivities for each gun. That was really cool.
That was really cool. I played around
of course, the game looks phenomenal.
Yes,
absolutely.
Plays phenomenal.
Even on a 1080p monitor.
No glitches.
We don't do glitches.
There was a few.
I had no glitches.
I didn't have any glitches, but I had stutters. When I would climb a ladder or go under something, it's like the frame had to catch up.
I didn't have any no glitches, no stutters.
We didn't do glitches.
We didn't have any glitches.
I know.
No glitches.
I know you can have this on a nice PC as well, but can we talk about the fact that I can click on the app on the PlayStation 5 and in 10 seconds I hold the gun in front of the typewriter?
Yep, same here.
I can resume my game from where I left off. I can turn my PlayStation off from off to the game in like 10 seconds.
Yep, same here.
Insane.
Blows.
Actually, I think y'all's is a little quicker than mine, but it's still near
my mind. If you get a game over, you hit a button, boom, right back into it.
Yeah.
There's no loading.
The first time I loaded the game back up, you're expecting maybe just a quick loading screen, just enough to flash on the screen, like, all right, start. Oh, all right, I'm playing.
Yeah.
My theory. Don't let me forget. Well, I'm doing it now. I'll just do it right now.
Okay.
My theory. So this game takes place in Europe.
Yep.
The Duke knows the merchant from Resident Evil 4.
Yep.
Resident Evil 2 remake kind of retconned some things, kind of for the better of the series, right? Kind of made it more related to the more modern titles.
Yeah.
We got a Resident Evil 4 remake
coming.
Ooh. How much are they gonna kind of spin this into that and kind of merge the series a little bit more with it all, right? So like, how is the Las Plagas gonna be possibly related to the village? Like, by the way, hey, let's not go anywhere in Romania. That's where all the bad stuff happens.
Yeah.
But I think there's gonna be a lot of like Leon might be kind of aware. Oh, I don't know, cause I don't know when they're gonna make it. I guess they'll make it take place before the events of 7 and 8.
Yeah.
But how much will Leon be aware of some of this stuff after he leaves the European area, right? I think it's gonna be really cool to see if they do any kind of retconning on that.
One of the things that I really liked that they did that was kind of extra for me is that, so I learned while doing a little research on the area that it's modeled after Romania. I learned that Romania spent a lot of times in real life ruled by different countries. They had French influence, Italian influence, German influence, and so like with the 4 houses, they really brought in some of that, like Dimitrescu, Mario, those are French names. Beneviento, Italian names. Heisenberg, German.
Very
and
cool.
so like a lot of like Heisenberg stuff was all German. I mean, all of his names for his enemies, the Soldat 1, that's Soldier 1 in German.
Right.
Soldat 2, 3, and then they had Soldat Panzer.
That German.
And then they had Sturm, which is storm in German, and then Dimitrescu and Moro. They had like a lot of French stuff, like the architecture in Castle Dimitrescu, all the wines and stuff like that. And then Beneviento, Italian, and things like that.
I did want to say the battle with the Sturm was kind of lame.
Yeah, that was.
I like the battle. He was just a bullet sponge.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see.
And last complaint. Also a narrative thing. The village itself.
Yeah.
I don't understand, like, clearly, all right. So it says in the game lore that the village was being influenced by the mold, and Miranda was kind of cajoling them and controlling them. But like, it happens so quick. Like you don't really talk to a lot of the villagers, and like they just kind of get killed off really quick. And I feel like, especially like, it was a really interesting character development with that girl and her dad, and it happened like they just throw it away.
Yeah.
But they might do DLC like they did with Resident Evil 2 with like the or like. But when they're flying the helicopter and they take off that BSAA soldier's mask and they realize that it's a BOW, and Chris is like, all right, next stop, BSAA headquarters.
We gotta talk.
That's probably going to be DLC.
Sure.
That's either going to be DLC or a sequel.
Or the next game.
What was your read? Because I thought this is where you were going with it. What was your read on the storybook that was unfolding as you were reading the credits? Which is that little family that the mom dies and the daughter dies, and then he brings. Was that Mother Miranda trying to heal them, quote unquote? But in turn she was actually experimenting, because you saw there in one of the stills there was a jar, it was a cadu, and there was a syringe.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Do you think that was just like a backstory of this is kind of how she started manipulating the village? Maybe.
Wait, so
remember? All right, the credits is a storybook.
Yeah.
It doesn't not Mia finishing the storybook, but the credits are scrolling.
Yeah.
And it's just a frame, and you just see pictures.
Yeah, because it kind of did that with Resident Evil 4.
Yeah,
They did the same
I'm
thing
glad
with
you brought
Resident
that
Evil 4.
up.
Yeah.
Okay, I never finished
it. Shows how like the Lost Plagas got put into this.
It's not quite in the storytelling like they do in 8, but it's basically like
because
pictures.
I'm
It's kind of like a backstory.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the how would you pronounce it? Cadu?
I said cadu.
Cadu. The cadu is like basically this little like fetal look. It's the unborn.
It's
thing
pretty
that's
much
in the
like the Plagas.
It's basically, I looked it up. Miranda experimented with the mutamycete and injected it into a nematode and made this new creature that is
I know that.
basically injected into the host.
Just like the Plagas.
And
I
that's,
wonder if she has something to do with the Plagas.
that's what
Because
I'm saying about my
in
theory.
that storybook, you see all of them going to the church.
Yeah.
And when they go to the church, there's this looks like that Black Plague doctor mask, and she's
that's basically what happened
injected.
before.
And you see the dad's got the patch. He got his vaccination.
That's why I was so, because like it's like you just so happen to go in the village when they're all getting wiped out by the Lycans.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, because the Lycans are kind of their own little faction over here.
Yeah.
Now Heisenberg clearly likes to play with them.
Right.
But they're not. It's like you either, when you get injected with that stuff, you either become a Lycan and you run off, or you become one of those zombies.
Because the very last frame is the dad is turned.
Yeah.
After getting that injected, whatever it didn't affect the girl. I was curious. Was that just like backstory, baby?
Yeah,
maybe that's why the villagers are so they worship her, because she comes in and heals everybody.
Right,
and
exactly.
now-
That's exactly
Okay.
what it is.
Okay.
Exactly. I wish they would have explored a little bit more of that instead of just kind of throwing you straight into the extinction of the village.
Right. Yeah.
It's just
sure.
like you coincidentally happen to be there, and then the whole thing with like Mother Miranda she's like, hey, I'm just gonna guide him, because she shows up as the hag.
She's the hag,
and
yeah.
she's constantly like, here's the key.
Yeah,
Like,
she
go
gives
kill-
you the key. That's
it's
right.
like, what is she planning? I think she knows that Ethan has the regenerative abilities, and she wants to abuse that to be able to, because she doesn't care about anyone except for getting her daughter back, and so that's why she guides you through all that stuff.
Okay. Makes sense.
But long story short, with all that being said, I give this game my final rating.
Okay.
I can't decide, either 9 or 9.5 out of 10. I'm gonna say 9.
I was
I'm
gonna
gonna say 9. I
say
gave it
9.
9.
I'm gonna say
I can't
9
give
out
it
of
1.5.
10.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10.
4 out of 5.
Extra modes, if you haven't played yet.
It's like a 4.
Mercenaries mode. Mercenaries mode is really, really good.
It hit 145. I was like, "Where's my mercenary mode?" And then I finally felt you gotta buy it, which is 10 CP.
Mercenary
Bought it
mode.
and went, "Okay, good night. It's late."
It's really good mode.
Really good mode.
real great.
You
Wish it
have,
would've been-
once you unlock all the weapons and you get all their
That's what
attachments.
Reverse is for.
God.
Man, I hope that thing's good. It better be good.
It's not gonna be.
No, it's
Don't
not.
get your hopes up. And after you upgrade all the weapons and get all the attachments, you can get infinite ammo.
Yeah.
And you can go look at all the models, and the model viewer, and the concept art.
So if I buy Chris's gun, I'll have it in my next playthrough.
Yep. And you can buy unlimited ammo for it too, so you can just run and gun everything. And I think you might be able to use it in the hard difficulties.
Yes.
I'm gonna find that out after I finish my run.
You can,
today.
because I selected a new game.
I'm going that
New
hard.
game plus, and I did hardcore.
I'm going Village of Shadows. I'm going all the way.
Ooh! Check out
Ouch.
the balls on Brad!
Well, if I have the infinite ammo, I mean, I'll be okay.
Well, yeah.
Magnum, dong.
Da, 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 da,
No, dude,
da.
that Magnum. I killed Moro in less than 5 seconds.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But
Now,
anyway,
I do hear that the difficulty did make him a little more spungier, so.
I'm fine with that. I got an unlimited machine gun and Magnum, and
Bang 'em down.
grenade launcher.
So how do you earn the points? I don't want to keep this going on.
You do the challenges.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's why I
So
say
like
it's
my run through I'm doing right now
is a challenge mode.
It's my
Did you get the challenge in the first part? The very first part? In the
the ball?
the
No,
ball?
I did not.
I did. I got it.
Can you do it on easy mode? the
Yes.
challenges?
Yes.
Yeah.
This run through, except for the ones that of course require you to.
Yeah.
Right.
A challenge might be beat it on hardcore. I'm doing a no heals and no crafting run right now, which is.
Is that a challenge?
Well, if it's unlimited. I mean.
Yeah. I've unlimited aimless. It doesn't matter.
So wait, how did you get the unlimited? And what did you buy?
Oh, I had
unlimited?
tons of challenges done. Like.
Oh, do I need to go cash those in?
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
What the heck?
it's 1:45 a.m.
Yeah,
last night
yeah,
when I
you-
finished.
Yeah, you go to the challenge menu and it says, hey, you did this. And
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But anyway,
Sorry.
that's the show. Thanks so much. Hey, how did you like Resident Evil 8? If you send us an email at littlejohnnygamershow@gmail.com, I will read it on this show. Trust me, I'll look at it like once a month. I'll read it.
One day I'll read it.
I'll read it. I promise. And thanks for joining me today, everyone. I really love this game a lot. I'm probably going to talk about it again next week
man.
or whenever we record next.
Well,
Because I've been playing through it. I'm on my third
It's
playthrough.
game of the year so far.
Really? Oh, nice.
Well, I mean,
Well, I mean, there ain't nothing else, but you know.
Oh, dude, I got Valheim and Hitman 3. And
I forgot Valheim came out.
There's another game I played. I can't remember.
Jacob
I have a
said,
list. Hold
That's
on.
that PowerPoint game y'all been playing?
Real quick before I let y'all go.
That's
I didn't put this on. I put some question marks on here. I put Valheim, Resident Evil 8, It Takes Two, Hitman 3, Ratchet and Clank's probably going to be on there, the Yuffie
Yeah,
DLC,
I'm not going off of what's coming out.
Far Cry 6, Mario Golf's coming. Everyone, Mario Golf. Thanks so much for listening. Share this podcast. Share it with everybody you know. If you're going to church, share the podcast. If you're going to a crawfish boil, share the podcast.
Share it with your mammy.
If you're going to Thanksgiving, you're going to Christmas, wherever you go, whatever it is you're doing, say, hey, listen to the Little Jolly Gamer Show. It's really awesome. Thanks for listening. I'm Brandon.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Steve.
Bye.
Bang!